afternoon. I would say first that President Romer and I are committing today that the state will continue to implement the Common Core state standards and will continue its implementation of the PARCC test. The governor's comments and proclamations notwithstanding, this is a long-term plan that we have been working on for 4 years and have committed to another 10 years of implementation on, and it is not something that we are willing to subject our children to last-minute changes on to throw our system into a state of educational chaos. I want to talk a little bit about the entire plan and how it is unfolded, what that means, and then I will go through a blow-by-blow factual statement of the governor's proclamations. We started this process in 2010 when Bessie adopted the Common Core state standards. At that point, the governor, then Bessie president, and then state superintendent signed a commitment to developing new test forms and new questions for tests that would allow us to be measured in comparison with other states. Now, 4 years later, 45,000 Louisiana kids took these tests over the course of the last several months, and our plan to continuing implementation moves forward. In 2015, the department will deliver the tests and will score the tests using the state's current contract that is active for grade 3 through 8 testing and that have been awarded through the state's procurement process. State law is what mandates that these things happen. And I want to be very clear about that the governor mentioned today how important it is to follow state law. State law is explicit that the plan that I just laid out be carried forward. First, under the Louisiana State Constitution, and I quote, "The state board shall supervise and control the public and elementary and secondary and special schools and shall have budgetary responsibility for all funds appropriated or allocated by the state, all as provided by law." So the Constitution gives Bessie authority to determine the issues that we are covering today subject to the law. The law then says the following: the State Department of Education, with the approval of the State Board of Education, shall develop and establish statewide content standards. Explicitly Bessie's and the State Department's responsibility, not the governor's, to develop content standards. Third, state law mandates that beginning with 2014-2015 school year, standards-based assessments shall be based on nationally recognized content standards. Explicit in state statutes that next year's tests be based on national recognized content standards, and that the standard-based tests at a minimum shall be comparable to national achievement tests, and that the student achievement standards on such tests shall be set with reference to test scores of the same grade levels nationally. These are not Bessie rules. They are not department initiatives. These are in the state's laws. So you have a state-mandated action on a long-term plan with Bessie and the State Department following those actions. Now let's respond then to each point that the governor made. First, the governor said that he would send a letter to the PARCC Consortium terminating the agreement that he had signed in 2010 along with the State Board President and along with the Superintendent at the time, Paul Pasterek. The MOU very clearly states that the people holding each of those three positions would have to sign the letter in order to terminate the agreement. PARCC and its lawyers have verified that. State lawyers have verified that. Thus, the governor's statement to that effect has no effect on whether or not Louisiana will continue to participate in developing the PARCC test questions and test forms. The governor spent the most time today discussing the competitive bid process, and he stated that the PARCC MOU, which is an agreement that was signed in 2010, is in violation of the state law. He issued an executive order to require that there be a request for proposals for a new assessment because, as he said, a legal process is needed. He said that the MOU is in violation of the law. I'm going to walk through multiple facts